right, welcome
Yeah.
back. So we are here today with Stubbo, sorry, apologies. And he's here to show us his lassos. Um, First off,
Yes.
Stubbo, do you have any like main like what really started you? Like what pushed you into lassos?
So, it was, I started my whole Instagram about 2019. I did make one about 2015. I used to be an armed security guard for dispensaries in the San Diego area back then. And I always kicked myself for never really starting one because I felt like it would have kicked off something, especially being a dispensary guard back then. But fast forward to 2019, my brother, Moonrock Matt, started his an Instagram page, and at that point, I was like, "Yeah, I'm in San Diego. Like, why not? It's all around here, and this is what I do for a living." Or that's what I started doing. I started messing with it. Started tried to get into influencing and product product reviewing and stuff like that,
Hmm.
and reviewing different strains and reviewing dispensaries, and
Oh, I love that, bro.
didn't feel like it was really going somewhere that I wanted it to. So after that, I started understanding that there was a glass art scene in the community as well. And then I'm like, okay, so I wanted to learn about it a little bit. And from there, it was probably maybe like late 20 or mid 2019. And then I started working with a quartz artist out of San Diego. And I started trying to promote him and get his stuff out there. And it was pretty cool because within the first like maybe week of working with his stuff, I did a promotion with like Shavo from System of a Down, and then I did something with Be Real from Cypress Hill at that same day, and you know um, went to a few different events, and then it just it didn't work anymore. And
Mm.
then I started just making friends with people in the community. And at that point, my daughter in 2020 was going to turn 18. And I wanted to get her a pendant from one of my friends' homies. So I asked him if he had any rainbow prep, and he did. He made a pendant, and then my other friend, Banana Mike, whose Instagram is Mayan.hist, and he was telling me about this one lace company, and I found out you had to send your pendant in to them, and then it wasn't and I didn't have it at that time, and her birthday and her graduation was coming up, so there was, like, literally just weeks, and I heard it took months, so, that was just wasn't an option, so I decided to look around on, different sources online and braiding styles. So
Mhm.
after I decided on the braiding style that I did, I made her one, then I made myself one, I made the homie one, and when he saw it, he was like, "This is different." This is and then I'm like, "Okay, it really is," because then I found out about other than that one individual, lace maker, there was, like, 2 or 3 other people that, did the similar style to him. I didn't see anything like I did, and then I was like, "You know what? Um, my daughter's like, growing up and she's becoming a young lady, and I still got to be a parent to her. So I wanted to show her on how to take, something she liked, like art, and she was doing crocheting at the time, and how to just market something she liked and get it out there, utilize social media, and just take it with her passion, and put everything into it and lead by example. So that's exactly what I did with what I created. And it was funny enough, when I came up with the name Lassos, I went to Google and I researched like necklace.
Mhm.
And then I went looking for all the different kinds of names that also, you can call a necklace because that was, a part of the process. So once I decided it was a lasso, it just went from there. And then, I'm like, well, what should I call it besides just a lasso? What should the company be called? And that was what I had trouble with. But I was always called STUbbO, so I was like, okay, so these things are made by me, so they're crafted. And I didn't really want to go with like a C, like, the normal, I like using different types of spelling
Yeah.
for different words. So that's when I started spelling craft with a K. And then, its acronym for Instagram, which is KBS,
Yo, Kraft
crafted
mac
by
and cheese,
STUbbO,
come and get them.
right? So, and I had some experience with that because I used to do some gaming back in the day,
Mhm.
and my initials are actually MFG. And back in the day, there used to be a brand, clothing brand called Motherfucking Gangstas, and their brand tag was MFG. So I always got a kick out of that. I always thought that was pretty clever. But that's where that came from and how I came up with KBS Lasso. And from there, I just felt very fortunate and very blessed. I'm gonna quick smoke a bowl with you guys real quick. Let me get this camera on.
Yeah, man. Cheers. Finished my last bowl today. So
Cheers, bro. I just died right there.
yeah, you're good. Oh, that was a huge rip, man. Very good, brother. So wait, do you mind getting a little bit more into the before you start getting into the lassos? Because you were saying you were smoking it up with all these people and somehow you were getting by like that. How was the financials in that situation?
Oh, well, after I was an armed security officer, that didn't work out, and I ended up finding a job with a public agency, and I started working for them. And I just had I had a 40-hour a week job, but then once that I started doing that graveyard shift, and at a certain point, just like everybody gets good at their job, it became muscle memory and routine for me. And because I do have ADHD, so being able to multitask
Right.
mentally and physically is something that comes easy to me naturally. So at that job, while I was monitoring everything going on and reporting and watching everything, I still was able to physically do something as well. So that's one thing that really helped me too with KBS Lasso, being able to have that time while I supported my family, because that's basically at that what I was able to do. And then KBS Lasso went to a point where it was just basically anything extra I was putting away for my family or doing
It's
something for
actually
them.
can I actually mention something?
Go ahead.
It's really ironic that you said that because me and Jamara have actually kind of been discussing a similar topic. I'm not gonna go too much in depth, of course, but me and Jamara we're talking about like how like all this is it. Sometimes some days you're not gonna want to do it. Like this isn't always gonna be fun. There's gonna be days where you want to fucking say I'm done. Like I quit, but you can't. Like you have to treat it like a job. Put the same kind of effort in that you would in a job, and eventually it becomes one. You
I
know?
honestly say more so. I want to say like 17/7. That's my motto and what I go by. 17 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's pretty much my motto on that. And that's what I feel like it takes to become successful at stuff. And you know, with other with other businesses and other things you see, as you see in other and things that you would hear from the glass blowers, hours is powers. You know, the more
Yup.
hours you have in a
Yup.
torch, you know, the better you get.
And
So
consistency is key.
yeah, yes. There's definitely something to that, and being able to, and I don't know, uh, I feel like I might have come in at the right time. I don't know. It could have been a whole multitude of things,
It's a good
but
time right
I
now.
you know, I do know that I have been doing this for it'll be 4 years in August now that I've been doing this, but it definitely takes a lot of I mean, being luck. I want to say either luck or knowing someone, or I mean, it's just all kinds of different little factors. But one thing is, even though I do have a lot of friends in the community, before I even started KBS, I did not lean on any of my friends. I just worked really, really hard to be where I'm at now, because and this is what I tell people. You know, the first one I made took about 6 hours, and it sold for $35. You know, it wasn't until I was able to be in demand in a way that smoke shops out there that host shows and, you know, that are out there in the scene wanted to also carry my work because they saw that demand for my work, but as well as the quality assurance and customer service that I gave to the collectors in the community. So that went a long way as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We hear from a lot of
And
people,
yeah,
they have to be their own manager for social media, for customer service, for getting your supplies, you know.
it's yes,
Yeah,
it's definitely a lot. So I used to work graveyard, like 8 p.m. to 4:30 a.m. But basically, I my hours I would sleep from about 6 a.m. to about 11 a.m. to noon, and then from that point I would be up, and from, like, let's say noon until 7 p.m. I was making lassos, I was answering messages, and I was engaging on social media. And then about from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., I was either making lassos, um, engaging on social media, and, you know, of those things as well. And, you know, so, you know, that was a good roughly, you know, give or take about
Yeah.
10 hours a day or more that I was doing KBS, you know, and, you know, since I was up, you know, all night long, you know, I would be able to answer messages towards anybody that was, you know, that had questions for me, which was pretty cool. But
of course,
it's
man.
definitely been quite a wild ride.
Of
Um,
course, man. How
like
are expenses looking too for the I don't imagine the lassos would be super expensive or anything. Guessing.
They
um,
are.
well, now they so this is what I was going to into earlier. So like I said, my first one sold for 35,
Right.
but after I started out and had enough out there, eventually I asked for 55, and then after that, uh, it was kind of a funny little situation. But after I got into my first smoke shop, or no, my third smoke shop, because I first started working with a place called Stay Lit in Las Vegas, and I did a drop with them. And then I got a started working with Headlines in Indiana, Headline Smoke Shop.
Right.
And after them, I got into Ziggy's Smoke Shop in Southern California. And after I got into Ziggy's, at that point, my retail was 55. But from that point, and I started working with them, my retail went up to 120.
Oh, geez,
And
that's a big
because
upgrade.
I started, because then I started doing wholesale and retail. So then my wholesale price, what used to be my retail price, was my wholesale price for the smoke shops I worked with.
Right.
And at that point, I was working with a lot of different artists out there, like Muller and Rye collectors and Karma collectors and Firefly. Uh, who else? Pipe Maker.
And
Yes,
so
AKM.
what's the time
And
frame on that? Like,
now because my work is a lot cleaner and a lot more dialed in, I have one on me now. There
yeah.
actually too.
So like you were
Um,
saying, they started paying you like 120 retail and you started getting all these deals with smoke shops. That was like a
yes,
few years ago or recent?
that was I want to say, so when I started September, August of 2020, and by September of 2021, I was being featured in in a pendant show where
Raw.
I made all of the necklaces in a
So
pendant
under a
show,
year.
and yeah, just under a year, I achieved that, and within like 8 months, I did a collaboration with Rude Boy Glass, so that helped a lot
We
too.
just had him on
The
here.
Cheeto Master.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Rudy, he's the homie. I love Rudy. He's a great guy.
He
So
was
right
nice to have
here,
on.
True, true.
so
Nice,
here's
man.
what I consider. So my custom pieces, as you can see, that when you bring up on your page there, they're made up of, I use zero point 0.8 to 1 millimeter threads, and I use 8 of them.
Okay.
So, if you don't mind me asking, have you ever thought about using the same cords that like the paratroopers use for their like parachute cords? Because
I'm not a
that is thread.
I'm not a fan of the rigidity of that type of material. This is more like a satin
Well,
material.
no, they
I
can
also
still
have like
bend. They can still
silk,
bend though.
you know. But again, well, if you think about it, using that, and you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's probably, depending on the thickness of it. And usually, I think if those are between 5 and 7 millimeters in diameter, you're probably going to end up with something between 8 and 13 millimeters in diameter, if not a little more, a little less.
I think
And
one
that's pretty thick.
I think one thread can like hold um like 500 pounds, if I'm correct. Fucking
Hmm.
insane.
Oh yeah, they definitely got a high thread count because of the way that they're manufactured. Definitely.
No,
Um,
but that's a great thing, bro. Because that means like that's a necklace. Like if you made one out of that, like that would last literally forever, forever. Like,
so um,
or am I
after
wrong?
like after we were just saying like these came to this,
Hmm.
and these were priced as they take me. There were everybody out there still wanted to support my work, but wanted something at a more affordable price. So
Ah,
then I
okay.
started researching materials, and then I realized, because this was advice my really good friend Nick, Insomniac Glass, gave me, um, and that's being able to continue to do business with smoke shops, to have something, or just to have it, that I don't do direct sales on something that they can
Hmm.
sell that I don't. Because at that point, I don't, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people out there that like to support the artist, and sometimes will, like, would rather give the entire price to the artist. And is
Hmm.
not, and as cool as that actually is, it's sometimes dependent on the artist and whatever's, but it's always not going to be probably as consistent as if you work
Hmm.
with several, if you're lucky enough to work with several smoke shops. So then I started finding different unique materials I was able to do with similar diameter to these,
Hmm.
and I called those my non-customs. And I used the same clasp system with the lever and button, right, like I have here.
Hmm.
And the shops, were getting those from me wholesale, and they were retailing those. And at that point, I was like, I would like to find something else if it's possible. And there wasn't much of an overhead difference in what the material costed me, but I wanted to offer something to people who had pendants even less than that retail price. So that's when I went to 50.
Yeah.
We're here.
So, no, thank you, thank you. I just got a quick
Yeah,
call.
we're good.
So, that's where, I was able to find. I found that material. It was able to be thinner, and I liked it. And I, did some R&D on it. It holds up well. It washes nice. And
Mhm.
that was, it was important to me. So that then I released them, and then those were $50 retail through the smoke shops that I work with. And then if you can go through the link in my bio on k.b.s_lasso on Instagram, and you can go see all their Instagram pages, or it'll take you to the website of that smoke shop, like Ziggy's or Drip Smoke and Vape or Woody's Glass Gallery. So it's that's it's pretty nice to be able to have that, because having that family relationship with those shops that do business. Again, if you remember what I said at the beginning, this was all the promote and show my daughter on by example on how to do good business, and just how to be a good person to work with other people. So this is all just
That's important, brother.
is
Good idea.
just comes from that. Because I meet a lot of people in our community that have young ones, and I say to enjoy that, because again, now my daughter's 21, and so I remember that stuff when she was young, and fun dad. That was those times were awesome. But now that she's a young woman, fun dad has to
Mhm.
turn into, hustle dad,
Uh-huh.
and, be a good dad by leading by example. Because I wasn't that guy that went to college, so that wasn't me. But being creative and artistic, that is me. And,
Mhm.
she picks that up from me as well. I did do jewelry in high school for 3 years, so that's actually something I'm looking to get back into, which, would be very cool if I could.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I don't mean to badmouth art school, but I mean, who knows? Could be better that you didn't go to art school or something. You might have picked up the wrong ideas, or you know, been less creative. I
If
don't know.
well, I did
Like,
I did join the Navy,
yeah.
and after I got out. But if I never joined the Navy, I would have stayed around in the Chicagoland area and been a firefighter.
You
That
work with a lot
probably
of
would
That's
rope?
badass, brother. Yeah.
that probably would have been. Oh, in the Navy, no, I did not at
Really?
all.
Did they
I
not
worked in the
teach you how
air.
to tie a rope? Like, dude,
No,
I
I
thought like the sailors not like there's all sorts of like Navy
no.
knots they're supposed to teach you to know.
If you work in the deck department, which if you're a boatsman, then that's what you did. That was what you need to learn.
Oh, okay.
But for me, I worked on a flight deck, so
Oh,
I worked with like chains, and that would like chaining down helicopters, and like Harriers and stuff.
that's wrong.
So yeah, but yeah, no, it's those other guys that learn how to do all those knots. But I I just it was more of an artistic thing, and more of just a
Mhm.
learned thing. And it was more of a necessity because, again, my daughter needed a gift because she was turning 18 and graduating high school.
Mhm.
And I scooped a super nice heady pendy for her. It was made by Orion Glass. It's actually on my Instagram too if you
Nice.
scroll down to it. It's a rainbow striped heart, and he
Rainbow striped heart.
encased.
Oh, I get you with the
Yeah.
beads next to it.
No, well, it's not the one with the beads.
Okay. Okay.
It's the one where he's flipping it and looking at it, and it's playing, I think, the Aerosmith "Amazing" song. Um, Orion Glass made both of those pendants, but the one she chose has 1 gram of crushed opal loosely encased inside it, and
Shit.
that's actually pretty cool.
That
But
is wrong.
And this is to all you dads out there that want to get your daughter something, whoever's going to watch this, who's not a glass blower, they're gonna make two. Now, after your loved one chooses that one, you're left with one last choice. You can either let someone else buy that pendant or whatever else it is that was made and meant for your the significant person, or you can scoop it yourself. And chances are you're probably gonna scoop it like I did. I was like, oh man, I can't let someone else have that. How much for both of them,
And
bro?
and bro, it glows. The heart glows. This one.
I think
Looks like it
oh
glows.
the
Video.
one with it going through it, the
I'll
one
show
with the
you.
beads.
This is the second one I found. But so this is 2020 when you said it started, right?
Oh, okay, yes. So that oh man, when you bring that up, brings up memories, makes me
Oh,
sad.
and she had
Yeah.
glass beads on it too.
When I got here to Chicago, I actually I set that down and someone grabbed it.
No
Yeah,
way, dude.
but
Bro,
so it's not
oh,
UV, but what I like about that is my lasso and the material I use is UV, and you can see it going through
mm,
the glass. So I
Yeah.
definitely dig pendants with either clear that have some clear in or something like that when a lasso goes through it because of that glow factor and how it just go you could see it through it.
mhm.
There were some cool karma pendies and some cool rhino.
Yeah.
Mauler.
By the way,
They're just
Bro.
right. I
there's
was
just
gonna
so
ask.
many of
I've
them.
I've never seen a rig like this that you pull up.
If you don't mind me asking, so do you recommend getting beads like on a pendant? Like, once you get your pendant, do you recommend getting beads for the pendant as well?
Some might come with matching ones. I personally like collecting beads because I also like to wear them with
Wait,
a
they come
hoodie
with them
too.
usually?
Sometimes you might
Oh.
get a matching bead with it or something like that. But that's just he gave he those were gifts that he just gave her, and she didn't really want to do anything with them. So since they were for her and me, I just wore one on each side. And
Mhm.
personally, because I don't like glass on glass touching, I wanted to find something that had a soft cushion that
That's smart.
didn't reverberate through one glass piece to the other, and that's wood. So wooden doesn't really do that. It acts as that absorber.
Wood's an absorber? Really? I never knew that.
And that actually, if you go up right now above the sand rick, so right there, that's just below with me with the cup, below that one,
Yeah.
right there with those right there. So that's
Right.
actually my first order, and it was my first collaboration. And there's a really cool dab tool maker out there called Hardwood Katana,
Mhm.
and that what he got, and he ordered those from me to collab with. He did do a couple of them, but now if you can kind of see like that top one, see how some of them and the braids aren't very uniform and they're kind of fat and thick. And
Mhm.
so that's why if you look at the one in my photo, my video that I have up now, so I probably learned on how to make the work a lot cleaner
Right.
after about a year or so of that, maybe just after my first show. That's when I started realizing I cleaned the work up. It took longer, but it
Mhm.
was definitely worth it. The end result I felt like was worth it.
Right.
Bro, that's raw
And
though.
and about I want to say about 3 to 5 months after I started
Mhm.
this, again, my nickname has always been STUbbO,
Mhm.
but the community started calling me the LassoMan. So from that point, I wanted to just teach my daughter on how to market herself. So since that was the nickname and it was within reason, I just ran with it. So I got license plates out in California, LASOMAN. Then once I got that and I had that nickname, I realized I can do something in the stories on Instagram when I'm gonna send someone their lasso. So I started calling it lassos away, where I'd either be in my car like I am right now, and I'd be sitting here, or I'd be tripoded up in front of my car, and I'd be standing. Let me see. I'll go outside right now so I can show you.
Dang, sweet. For the tour.
Let's see. I think there we go. So I'd be in front of my car. I have a system in my car as well, and this was all just to market myself. So when I got to Illinois, I got the new plates, but I would do a story on Instagram and I would call it Lassos Away.
Oh yeah, bro.
And me being when I was young and I was a wrestling fan. So if you watch wrestling, WWE or WWF, depending on how old you are, or
Yeah,
even
yeah.
WCW, those guys cut promos. Basically when they talk trash, or it's when they're not having a match, and doing an Instagram story the way I wanted to kind of was like cutting a promo, and that's what it was. So if you go to my main page and if you go to the little bubble, there's a little bubble that says Lassos Away, and it give you an example of that. And then I started,
Sure,
since
yeah.
I had experience in previous from my Instagram, my influencing days, which wasn't that long compared to when I started KBS, but that whole ADHD thing with me also, aside from multitasking, I do things rather, quickly. So I learned how to edit and all this other stuff. So, I edited in, I got some good edits and things like that, and started getting clever with lassos away and stuff like that. Like, where at the end, I would add, like, it explodes and the lassos away and stuff like that. So, there is definitely, and this is, again, all just wanting to lead by example, to show my daughter on how to just market yourself and do things. And at this present time, if you go to my page, that
Yeah.
first post too, um
Yeah.
now I can't announce it yet, but I will have another show out, and I'll be doing on 710. But that one is at the Redwood Glass Gallery in Oregon, and it's a bead show. And I also, aside from my necklaces, I call lassos, I also do bracelets, and they're called I call them flips, because
Okay.
I feel like in my head I did used to call them shorties, but then I decided I didn't like that anymore after like maybe about a month or two, because when I was wearing on my own beaded bracelet that I had, I was like, you know what? Just like a watch, I found myself, if it was loose, you flip it. And to show the homies the beads, I was flipping it. So I'm like, oh, dude, these, I might be able to call these flips. So I call them KBS flips. And that's where that came from.
Sweet, yeah.
But I will have some available in this show that they will pair up with some of those beads in that show. And there's really amazing lineup of people making beads for that show. Congruent glass, sleek glass, Darby Holmes, Mike Luna, Gongster, Mike Gongster, Lions Glass, and I think they even still added some new people.
Yeah, those are some big names, man. So this is a huge convention. I've never.
Oh
gone.
no,
All right.
it's a art drop at a smoke shop that is hosting the show.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
question. Do they get all like sold for cheaper at the drops than when they get retailed by the smoke shop?
It's well, it all depends. I mean, on because all artists have different levels, all artists have different ratio.
Well, so
Different. They work out different deals. Sometimes there's a consignment, and sometimes there's a wholesale retail.
okay, so but it's up to the person though. Like if you like you're gonna be
and
there.
and the shop and
Oh, okay.
and for the artist to actually physically be there. That all just kind of depends on the artist's schedule and whether or not they travel at all
Hmm.
personally. And nowadays when traveling, having somewhere for someone to stay, that's a major cost, especially if you're renting like an Airbnb and
Hmm.
someone's going to be around like for more than than a week or something like that
Hmm.
in town. And then, some shops actually have spots where, they have apartments either near them or, they have convenience for that. And shout out to those shops because that's pretty cool to be able to have that. Because that's a big factor, I feel like, when it comes in the cost sometimes, especially when it comes to flights are expensive too.
So you do a
Really?
lot of flights then? All the
Um,
shows?
I haven't flown yet. Um, It was much easier when I was in Southern California, but I do believe 2025 I will be flying back.
Right.
I work a lot with Drip Glass Gallery and Bliss Glass Gallery.
Okay.
Drip Glass Gallery is in Yucaipa, California. That's in the San Bernardino area.
Bro, my
And
best recommendation is schedule as early as possible.
yes, and these conventions like Glass Vegas and Champs and stuff like that. A lot of artists that go to those conventions meet up with those shop owners that go to that, and they schedule them. They'll put them on the books for a show.
Hmm.
And usually that's when those details are hashed out. Sometimes stuff like that. If they don't just hit them up out of the blue and ask them, on
Hmm.
Instagram where you get a random message.
Yeah, you're killing
What
it,
But
you
man.
currently smoking on?
right now I'm smoking out of a Steve H spoon.
Nice.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
spoons. I saw this nifty bowl type piece you used in your reels there, your videos there.
that the one, if it's the one that we just saw, that is a B B. It's a BCM. No, yeah, BCM glass, horn dry.
ECM
That
glass and then what?
definitely. Oh, it's a horn dry pipe.
A horn dry pipe, yeah?
Yeah, that's the shape of it.
Never
It's
heard
like
of that.
on the
Yeah,
bottom, it's like got a horn on of it.
very cool, man. Respect.
Raw.
That's a hick dog right there.
Yeah, this is an amazing one. And
So if you go up where you see that purple poster, that was a poster for my first show. Up to date now, I think I'll be in my
poster.
that one right there you saw at the beginning of it.
Pretty.
If
Yeah.
you go over one, slide over the other way.
All right. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So it's probably missing maybe another 7, 8 names, but that was all the artists that I made lassos for in the show. And
Nice.
that's what really helped me, get out there as well.
Hmm.
Shout out to the Dragons Den in San Diego and the team, Pat's Glass who helped put that together too. Joe Halen, he's a good friend of mine, and shout out to Joe Halen.
Right.
What's it called? We had Black Sand Glass. We're gonna have him on the podcast at some point.
Oh, Black Sand, yes.
Yeah.
It was funny enough. Black Sand was one of the artists I was supposed to work with, at Stay Lit. Stay Lit in Las Vegas brought Black Sand out and flew him out along with another influencer in the community called Dabin Cuban, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And Black Sand was there, and I think one other person was there. Ty Brown was there, and they asked me to come out, but I couldn't get away for that weekend to come out there. But that was a bummer because that would have been that would have been a cool show. But I did meet Black Sand at not this Las Vegas, but the one previous. I've been going to those since 2021.
Nice.
Yeah, that's actually a really cool thing too. Because in Southern California, I was a 4.5 to 5 hour drive away from Vegas, which was very nice, convenient.
That's fucking raw. That actually sounds raw as hell. But you got to see
Yeah,
a lot of new styles and everything, bro, emerge.
yes, definitely. It was really cool. My first Las Vegas, there was a Nico Cray bidding war. That was wild. The smoke shop guys are trying to get the drop from Nico Cray, and they had their cards out, and they were just bidding war right there. That was kind of cool. Yes,
That's
and
funny.
right there, those are all the shops that I work with.
Yeah. Cool list, man.
Again, I feel very lucky to be where I was at, especially located where I was at. But
Yeah.
shout out to the community of collectors and people that just supported my work, because without them, I wouldn't be where I'm at either.
Oh yeah, man.
Without
4
a doubt.
years? You're crunching it, dude. You're squeezing it. 4 years is like, man, that's really fast to get so good at something.
I mean, and I'm still trying to always improve and R&D different and new material. you know and I've been asked by other people to do different styles, like I think it was maybe about 2 years ago someone asked me to do a hemp a DNA braid, but at that point there's somebody out there, shout out to Headless Cordsman. That's what that's kind of his thing, and I've seen him do that. There might be one other person that does, but that's just not the style I wanted to do. And
Mhm.
not that even to date, because once I found out about the original people, I think they were called Wooklace, who used to that's the one, if I'm not mistaken. And I found out there were like two or three others that did that style. I realized that my style someone else was going to do eventually too. But at the end of the day, I said to myself that this is for my daughter, and I just have to be me better than anybody else can. Because, and you can kind of see this in the community amongst people where you see people that will come out with something someone else did, and sometimes it's cooler and sometimes it's not. Because I feel like it's just human nature sometimes for some people that it's in their personalities to see something, and in their
Mm.
head just be like, oh, you know what? That's not that complicated. That's pretty simple. You know what? I can do that, and I can do it better. Well, I went into what I was doing knowing that and wanting to be like, you know what? No one's going to do what I'm doing better than me. And, that, not that mentality, I don't want to say that, that testosterone filled mentality, but that mentality got me to where I am, because when I found out and I think I had a pretty good run. I want
So
to
you're
say
saying after you found out you were really good, you
after I found out about a year and a half, I found that there was maybe 2 to 3 people that started doing the style I was doing with the
oh,
same, the same material even too, and the same
oh,
clasp and all that,
that's not good.
but was selling their work cheaper. And
Okay.
then my work just, eventually, got better and cleaner. And it's the Instagram algorithm. And that's where, I'm happy there's someone out there who does laces, but it's funny, he just unblocked me because someone showed me their page and I couldn't see it, but my other page, my main account didn't, I could find it, and I was like, "Hey, man, and then he's like, "Oh, man, you were competition." He's like, "Well," and he's like, "That's probably why. It was way back when." I'm like, "Oh, man. Well, yeah, it's cool. No, don't worry about it." He's like, "I unblocked you." I'm like, "Cool. I got you a follow." And that's because at the end of the day, you can do what I can do, but I at the end of the day, you're not going to be STUbbO, and
Ha.
you're not going to, no one else is going to be KBS Lasso, and that's just, and that's just what it is at the end of the day for me.
Can I tell you something, bro?
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
So that's actually what when I went into this with, like, the mindset, and this is what I've been telling Jamurai, bro, from the beginning. Like, bro, we're just different. We're gonna be better. Like, bro, there's the idea that we have is built on already a couple brands that have done it. A couple companies have done it. I had no idea about them, but I found out that they did it. But the only problem is they weren't able to grab the consumers. If
Mm.
that means if we can successfully grab the consumers, we'll have the company that everybody has been wanting in the industry. And it'll be a one-stop shop for all glass and glass accessories, bro. And that will literally change the industry forever. And it's gonna fucking revolutionize it, and I can't wait.
Fuck yeah. That's and taking that mentality and idea. That's what I bring to everything I like to do. I actually even came up with a dab tool too. If
Fuck
you
yeah.
uh if you look down on my page
Oh
at my
yeah, I'll check it out.
reels,
That.
let's see here.
So this is Woody's Glass Gallery. STUbbO here.
Okay, yeah, so go ahead and go down, go
All the way
down.
down.
Oh, wait, a little bit up. Keep going up. Keep going up. Not those. That was right there. You see those? Let me see. Right, the one opposite of the motorcycle. Not
Motorcycle
that
here.
one. The opposite one.
Okay, so this
Go over to, yeah, that one right there.
right.
And that was a little reel I kind of creatively made for it. But everybody in the community I was seeing that was making dab tools, they all, to some extent, was the same. So I thought about, like, well, what would be a different dab tool? And that's where I came up with this fountain pen style dab tool that had a cap and everything. It has storage where you can keep your pearl and your pillar inside it. Different style heads.
Like a pen,
And
but it's a
yeah,
multi-tool for dabs.
yeah.
Respect.
So and when I did this, I also have an announcement on my page too, and it's when I'm research and developing. That's when I say R&D. I'm R&Ding. If you're familiar, are you familiar with a pen called the Mont Blanc? It's a company.
Now tell me about it.
It's a very Mont Blanc is a very high end pen. That's all. Like
Right,
their
right.
base pen is like $700-800, and they can cost as much as like 35,000.
Oh, crazy. Okay.
They're like the Rolexes of pens.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I'm
know,
sure I'm sure it's
like those guys in big law firm offices or something like that, and they sign these huge deal contracts.
yeah,
They either have something like or equivalent to a Mont Blanc,
I get you. I'm sure it's
and
like 5% better than the next best thing.
and that is what I'm researching and developing, and
Ooh.
I want to make into a dab tool. And I have a couple people that want it once I do it. But for me, it's got to also, because it's such a beautiful pen, it's got to be a pen still, because these are only dab tools. You won't be able to make these to pen again.
Right.
But with that, it's got to be both. So right now I'm in the process of, my research and development on that. And and it would be a forced collaboration.
So you're looking into the pen tech.
Well, I'm researching it, and because they cost so much.
Yeah.
So I can only I'm slowly, it's going to be probably a year or two before I dial that in, because
Right.
I'm only because I got to keep I keep the cost within a certain
Mhm.
level, because once I start putting these out, they're probably going to be one or two a year, but they'll probably cost close to like maybe like 11 to $1,700.
Huh. Yeah. Okay. How are you going to what are the materials you're gonna make that pen out of and everything? Like I'm curious, what are these materials?
It's
Yeah.
going to be of one of those pens that cost $800 to $1,000.
Okay, so you're trying to
But however, wait,
replicate it?
can I clarify though also,
No,
and this is no,
I'm not gonna replicate it. I'm gonna repurpose
Purpose.
it to be a dab tool.
All right, you're adding features.
Yes, yeah. So it's gonna be repurposed to be a dab tool, and that's just really not easy, because that's such a
you
high
thought
end
about
item.
making one yourself?
It's such a yeah, no, on a lathe. I've looked into the making the casings and all that as well. Well,
Because
right now
honestly, that might be
I
cheaper,
don't.
bro.
Oh, it's not. At the end of the day, just like some people like wear that like want to wear Versace versus Louis versus Gucci. You know,
Hmm.
some people want something made by somebody, but sometimes they like that stuff made by Tiffany too.
I
You know,
love how you said that.
because at the end of the day, I said that because I'm gonna be a jeweler, and maybe I can make a Cuban link chain that's nice and stuff like that. But my cost and value doesn't equal Tiffany's
Hmm.
if it's stamped by Tiffany's. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
that's exactly what I mean. So me doing a pen like that, I can make it by hand and polish the wood and stain the wood and you know make it by hand like that. I can make it by hand like that, but there's still gonna be that, there's still gonna be that,
I get you.
there's still gonna be someone that wants to see and own that high end item, and these are
Yeah,
people that have a lot of high end art to begin with.
luxurious types for sure.
Yeah, well, and and again, it goes to me saying, I came up with it. I announced I'm going to do it, and I am going to do it. And
Hmm.
I even announced that I'm going to do ones that look like sharp pens, and Bic pens. Sharpies.
Yep, yep.
Where that's going to be something I'm going to do with the shops I work with, where that'll be available through them, and those won't retail that much at all. Those will probably be less than $20, or if not around that.
Yeah, it's more of a mass production thing.
But see that again, and there's and there's some nostalgism to the people loving Sharpies, especially if you tag. But at the same time, it's not a Mont Blanc pen. It's not
Hmm.
super high end luxury. Exotic.
Totally, totally.
So yeah, and right there is where and I thought up of each level of what I want to do. You know, Sharpies, and then these guys here, or something I make, and again, like those Mont Blancs, and that's just that. You know,
Hmm.
Right.
and again, that was just because no one ever. Is still, I haven't seen it. I've I've seen a lot of resin and a lot of weapon style dab tools, but nothing of this style. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Right. Right. So you're coming
And
up with
and
all
and
these ideas, man. Is your brain
so that
always running at full steam like that with all these
yeah,
ideas? Yeah.
it definitely totally is. And the funny enough thing about that is I told 4 of my homies about these dab tools, and I'm like, "You need to do this. Like, no one's done this." And that was probably, about a
Huge.
year and a half before this date. I was
Yeah.
like, "Dude, you need to do this. This is something. No one's done it."
Yeah.
And at the certain point, I was like, you know, fuck it." I scooped 25. You know, I had them laser engraved, LassoMan made,
Yeah.
and I just dropped it and released it myself. And
Nice.
I did a drop of these with Ziggy's Smoke Shop, USA Smoke Sierra, and Drip Glass Gallery. And then a couple I gave away and stuff like that, to homies and stuff like that who super
Nice.
dab. But I still need to do another order. But at the same time, if I could put anything out there to people, don't oversaturate your market with your collectors or just with whatever it is that you do, because that also kind of can hurt the devalue. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Of what you're doing, because I mean, and that's kind of like a double-edged sword too, because you got to grind. Like, of my customs, I probably have 1,100 done, give or take,
Nice.
and a lot of them were a good bulk of that was done almost at first, like maybe just under 500 that first year. And yeah, getting yourself out there and putting yourself out there in the beginning. But after you're already out there, I feel like then you have to kind of take a step back, and that's where I feel like you can't allow your art to be your main source of income. I feel
Mhm.
like, I mean, if it can, it can, 100%. But I feel like when you do that, because I recently, not recent, but October 2022, I lost my job due to a couple of unfortunate circumstances that I have pending litigation with against them because they're
Oh,
in the
you don't have
wrong.
to. Yeah.
Totally okay.
Yeah.
But just like that's why I blessed just up until recent.
Yeah.
But
God bless you with
uh,
the lawsuits. Good luck.
yeah, it was never really meant to be something to support my family and help pay the bills. I'm
Mhm.
blessed that it's been able to help as much as it has, because without that, my family would, there would be that much less to help, like either with the phone bill or whatever it is. So that's, I'm grateful to have that, because at the end of the day, if something ever happens, I want to be able to leave this to my daughter and allow her to do, because up until just before we left California, she was doing it with me, I mean, especially when I needed help. But now since we got back here, she's working with like special needs kids, and she wants to go to school for that. So
Mhm.
I kind of want to let her do her thing, and if it just means me, keeping this and cultivating it and growing it, for her on the side, that's so be it. You know, I'm
Mhm.
having fun doing. I'm having fun doing it.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Let me say, you guys sound like really good, honest people. Helping your daughter learn the right way, um, finding her path, and then how kind of her she wants to help out special needs people. That she must be very kind.
Thank you. Do you guys have any questions? You guys
Yeah.
were rocking it on the interviews. I appreciate
Um.
that.
So have you had any like actual big hate?
Vacations?
No
What do you
hate.
hate?
Oh,
Oh,
hate.
Yeah.
ooh.
So, one
Don't have to
thing,
say names. Just wondering.
of course,
Curious.
I encountered drama once before I started KBS, um, and it wasn't fun. But I definitely didn't. I Feed. I didn't feed it. I just basically ignored it.
Backed away.
What was that?
I said he backed away.
Right.
No, I didn't acknowledge it, and I kept going. That's actually my younger brother, Moonrock Matt. He's trying to call me. So I didn't give it. I didn't feed any energy into that negativity. And at the end of the day, since this was trying to lead by example to my daughter, I wanted to show her how to deal with negativity. And, and when it came to business, not personal, but business, you ignored it and you moved on, especially if you're not in the wrong, especially, if it had, it's something completely out of left field, out of pocket. You know what? Just move on. If it has validity, and you should try to you definitely try to do what you need to make it right, and not put yourself in that situation to begin with. But that really hasn't been a thing. And then there was an incident, and it's funny enough, when KBS's prices changed, there was one individual that wasn't happy about that. And
That's what I was wondering.
It was when it went from 35 or so to 55. And it was during that short period, not the other end, but that one. And at the end of the day, the person told me I was all about the money, and they were just upset because, again, they took me still that amount of time, but at that time I was already working with Headline Smoke Shop, and the wholesale and the retail was what it was, and I didn't want to undercut or undervalue sell something, you know what I mean? And do that to the shop I was working with, because again, to me, that didn't equal good business. So, I couldn't do nothing about it. I just, said I actually suggested someone in the community that does the simpler laces. I think it was OG Shizzle, if I'm not mistaken. And I said, you can hit this person up. They're they might be within an affordable price range that you see is more liking for you. And yeah, it totally was. Didn't get a thank you, but the other person got a thank you and they got a sale, which was kind of fun. Which was kind of funny on that. But again, it's all about showing a good example to my kid, and after that, as far as KBS goes, not really. Nothing else really negative. If there is, I'd like to know. It's always fun to hear someone that has an issue with me.
I can't imagine that would be many people, man.
Not a whole bunch. It's especially in the community, and that's just because it's so nice to be able to work with some of the collectors that I do, and when I do, they can tell me to run with it how I see it. But at some point, when it comes to complimenting someone's pendant, it's also gonna fit an outfit they might wear with it. And the colors of a pendant can, be 1 to 2 to 3 different outfits, maybe, or a pair of shoes with it. Because at a certain point, and that's funny, a little story. My younger brother, who I was talking about earlier, Moonrock Matt, he, him being my little brother, he has a pair of Nikes, the Chicago Jordans, that look like that pendant I have that's on my page.
Yeah, I noticed.
So he went to Las Vegas with me, and I had that from So Hoobs put that in the first show I worked in, and it didn't sell. And the homie let me keep one from that show, and I kept that pendant. So, and he was upset about that too. He's like, "Oh man, you're gonna keep that one?" Like, yeah, I have to. And then that's when my little brother saw it when I saw him for Las Vegas, and then I was like, "Oh man, he's gonna little brother this thing from me." Make you feel guilty until you give it to him. So I was like, how do I avoid that? How do I like null and void that
That's
little brotherness?
that's hilarious. That still happens when you're like 40s. Yeah.
Oh, dude, totally.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, okay. So I went to Nike.com and I went to I found Nike by You. And that's where I ordered my first pair of Air Force Ones in the same color scheme as that pendant, which is on my page. And since you can customize the initials on the back of the shoe, you up to 3 initials, KBS. So, that's where I did my first set of KBSs. And, then I coordinated a Nike outfit for that. And that's what I wore for my second show. And, I was like, yeah, I can't give it to you, bro. It matches this whole outfit. And he's like, whatever, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, fine, whatever. Look, yes, I avoided the little brother.
Yeah. So with the Nike outlet,
So,
what was the deal with the Nike outlet?
Nike by You.
By You. All right.
Yeah, I went by to that website, and you can within a certain amount of colors and materials, you can customize some Air Force Ones and other different types of shoes, which was pretty. I thought that was kind of cool. And then by my second Hoobs pendant, I saw that was available. Actually, he did a trade with me on that, and Hoobs traded it to me, and it looked like the Shattered Surfboard Nike pendant. But that unfortunately had an accident in San Diego at a dispensary when I was working with West Coast Cure as one of their brand ambassadors, and the bud tender wanted to see it, and it fell out of my hand and it bounced, and the bail broke. But on a good note, it can be fixed. Hoobs is going to fix it, and whenever he gets to it, he gets to it. But the fact that he reassured me, he said it can be fixed and take care of it, made me feel better.
Yeah, I'm sure
'Cause
those fixer-uppers are going to
That's
show up
nice.
at like Las Vegas, and they're going to have a bunch more jobs. Will drop
Hoop
really
sounds so,
fast.
dude. That sounds so raw.
So, and I actually have a pair of shattered backboards, so I'm not in a rush to have that pendant back because when I wear those shoes, and those Jordan ones are not comfortable. Let me tell you, I have one pair, and those are them, and
Huh.
no,
I thought
they're
they were all
not
right,
comfortable shoes.
but like most shit doesn't fit me for mid.
But I do like matching them to an outfit with a pair of shoes and
Yeah.
a lasso and stuff like that for the shows. I think this red one it will be my 13th show. I think that I've offered work to, which I feel I still can't believe because there's no one else really in the community in the necklace or in the textile jewelry game side of things that does necklace or pendants that also work with shops and stuff like that. So I feel very fortunate and blessed and very lucky to have been able to do, and that's all due. Shout out to you collectors. Thank you so much, each and every one of you.
So the collectors had a way to connect you with the glass shops.
Just
Just the
that
demand.
they
It
were,
yeah.
just that they were there at these shows, and they were wearing my work to begin with.
Oh, of course.
So and when when these shops see the lives of other pages or something like that, or a collector they see that got a pendant from in the past as wearing something done by me, that's how they also see it too.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's raw.
I have a off-topic sort of question, but you're
Mm-hmm.
so the materials you're using for these strings and everything, How would hemp be? And do you think there's like better materials you can use, or like how is that? How do you decide all that?
I'm always researching different materials. I like working with softer materials like silk, satin, nylon, um, yarn. Um, Hemp is just a more rigid material,
Very rigid, yeah. Okay.
and yeah, it just makes something more rigid. And I mean, if I saw it and it looked okay, it just would have to depend.
It would probably
But
have to
like I
be
said,
larger, I imagine. Have to be a larger
um,
rope or something.
yeah, but really the diameter I try to work with is between point 0.8 and 1 millimeter in diameter,
Okay.
material wise. But I have worked with stuff much, 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 much thinner, which those are some of one things I've done that are one of one. There's one time I
Like
found
custom.
material that is glow in the dark, and that stuff's really thin and really delicate. Um, you know, if someone, again, if someone wanted it and they really wanted it, and they paid for by wanting it, but it's not something I'd normally really want to do just because it takes a lot longer. Because when it comes to the dial in process I do, it has a chance, it gives it more of a chance to just break
Right.
in that process
So the
of
glow
making it look
material is
professional.
fragile, yeah.
Yeah. So it just all depends, and some materials, even though they're not thin in diameter, they could fray. So equally just be fragile.
Right.
So, just all in general. I've even tried to work with metal threads and stuff like that.
Cool, cool. So how did that go? Is that promising or anything? No.
No, no, no. In that retrospect, I'm down to just try to actually make real chains.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah,
ways
that's what I was just
I
gonna
can
say.
and there's ways I can do chains where I can order 14 karat gold or plated or whatever, or 10, or silver, sterling, and I can solder, and they can be pre-made, but I would rather make it all myself because I probably would video that, edit that, and have that process up there on the page as well. Just because, you know, that's just me. But if it ever got to a point where I needed to, just like I said with the non-custom work, where that was in that kind of demand, we'll see, maybe. But that's not where I always want to start. I always want to start higher.
Yeah.
I guess I always aim the bar higher.
Yeah. I can imagine you getting shipped like a gold bar and you're like, all right, let's chisel something out of this. Thing out of this.
I've definitely like I have experience with wax carving,
Uh,
and that's what you do when you're doing casting and stuff like that. Like if you're gonna make like a
yeah.
pendant of or you're gonna make an image or something like that.
Right, right.
But nowadays it's so cool you can use 3D printing as well, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I
Mhm.
still enjoy being able to carve by hand. I think I still like that.
Right. So you're good at the delicate handiwork?
Yes, I feel so.
Really? I
Glass blowing
yeah.
is something I will get into.
Ooh. That soon?
Um,
When?
it's a medium that I would like to work with, especially when it comes to working with my hands. It just all depends on timing. It could be anywhere
Have
from a
you heard about
year.
forever chains?
Um, it sounds familiar, but as far as like the glass chains go, the chain maker I know is CBXD 420. Who goes? Her name is Danica.
I know of a woman too, but I don't know if it's that one. I don't know them personally, but they're the person who makes the forever chains, and it's a bracelet that they put around your wrist, and because it's a glass bracelet, you can't take it off. Like it's
Oh,
just
right on.
stuck. It's stuck there permanently. So you just like you better like it.
That's crazy.
Unless you want to break it off.
No pun intended. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate
Yeah,
you
we
guys
can
having
wrap it
me
up.
on.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, if you have to go, man.
No.
Yeah.
No. Thank you for letting me tell my story, man. I appreciate that, guys. You
Oh,
know, like I said, I've only been doing this for 4 years, so like some of these
Mhm.
artists, and that's where I feel like I said I'm very fortunate and lucky because there are some glass artists who've been in the game for 15, 20 years and they still don't work with smoke shops. So,
right.
I feel very, very,
Oh, okay.
very blessed and very lucky to be where I'm at.
Mm.
Off the record, that's just how I feel personally. I feel very lucky.
That's on the record, though.
All right. Listen, man, you're a
Well,
brother. My heart goes out to you.
thank you. Thank
Trying to
you.
make your family as best as possible. You have your priorities really straight, obviously. So,
Mm.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing all that too. We need good fathers and
Yeah.
mothers in the world. I feel that. So,
Thank
thanks
you,
for
man.
coming up.
Hey,
Yeah,
have a blessed
For
day.
real. Loved
Peace
having you
out,
on.
everyone.
beautiful
Would
stuff,
love to
man.
see you again. Hey, wait, real quick. Do make sure to post your lassos in the glass accessories and anything else with glass accessory oriented if you want to show off your
Okay.
stuff.
Okay. Appreciate
Yep.
that.
Have a good day.
We're good to go,
Peace.
brother.